Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is James, and I will be the GM for today's game of Rivers of London. We are playing the final session, probably, unless something very unexpected happens, of our Going Underground playthrough, as we head towards an exciting climax of the adventure so far. I am here, as I always am, with this fantastic cast of people who I will get to introduce themselves in just a moment. But first of all, I'd like to say a quick thank you to Roll20 and to Sirenscape, tools which we use to improve our game. Let's throw across to the cast. First, I will throw to you, Art, if you would kindly introduce yourself.
Yeet to me! Hi, I'm Art. I am playing Elaine Pudding because it's a funny pun. But just pudding to their friends. Who is, I don't know, very excitable, but currently very tired, much like me. So I think is like on their way back to try and ask someone. I was asking the mummy some stuff about some jewelry. That's what I was doing. I remember now. Thank you, Jim. Good night.
Yes, all right, perfect. We're there. And no summary needed. Thank you very much, Art. Throwing across to Jackson.
Hey, that's me. I'm Jackson. I'm playing PC Patrick Lewis, police officer, wizard, and about to probably break some Transport for London safety protocols.
I think this might be the first time in the campaign thus far that you've introduced wizard before something less exciting. Because breaking
I mean,
I don't know.
the PC Patrick Lewis breaking
the
safety
coolest one again.
protocols.
Stats.
It's a pretty big deal. This may be the first time he has not minded the gap.
Very good, very good. Dave.
Yeah, g'day. I'm Dave, and I'm playing Lucy, a dog, and I have already broken the London train safety protocols last session, and I eagerly anticipate doing so again. I won't stand for them.
You're a menace to society. And speaking of menaces to society, Alex.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everybody in various time zones. I'm Alex, and I'm playing Bun Oslo, accountant by day, paranormal photographer by night, and a little bit of a dabbler in the arts. Not a wizard per se, but a practitioner of the casual kind.
Wizard adjacent. You wear a pointy hat and throw a fireball one time, and now everybody... No, yeah, it's all good.
Everyone busts out the W word.
All right, so before we jump in, I'll just give a quick recap of what's happened so far. So our investigators are responding to a call for a disturbance that happened in the abandoned British Museum station in the subway system underground below London. The collection of them went in, breaking a bunch of transport regulations, as we have previously established to do so, headed into the depths, and then there encountered a mummy called Mary Mahet. They later found after taking them back and having a conversation with them. They found out that this mummy was interested in a couple of others. After some additional research and meeting the wonderful Catherine, future Mrs. PC Lewis, I don't know if you take the PC in the name. I don't know how that works, but anyway. Found out that the mummy seemed to have been animated as a result of a magical amulet of some kind, and there were a couple of others that were inside the British Museum. One of them, though, one that didn't quite fit in the set, was missing. Specifically, you've discovered that it was around the neck of a Paul Porter. You set off on a attempt to tail Porter, and you have just jumped in. We jump into the scenario now with Porter vanishing off the edge of a platform down into the tunnels while the trains are still active and everything is you don't want to be down there. And while Elaine and Lucy are on the quite the other side of the city. You're close enough because you've just gone to visit Mary and get some information there, but you're not exactly close. So we'll pick up our story there. You've got a suspect who is with, when magical amulets are concerned, kind of counts as armed and dangerous at this point, who is fleeing into the subway tunnels as best as you can approximate things.
fleeing or like sauntering? Like,
He
do
doesn't
they
know that
are they?
he's being pursued, right?
Yeah, is he
Thus-
defaulting or is he just
Uh,
like?
Yeah,
I
they're looking-
recall at the end of the session, it looks like he'd been sequestered.
Yes,
Which
that
is-
was.
Newtonian practitioners love putting different words on things. We don't say possessed, we say sequestered. There's
Ah.
something in his
Oh.
head. There's something
I was
magical
going
in
to ask
his
you to
head.
find that.
Yeah, and
I
he
see.
doesn't know that we've followed. Like we witnessed him like change.
I mean, he was acting suspiciously before.
Yeah,
That is
Yeah.
correct.
But
Now, I
with
just
my
want
excellent magic roll,
we
Uh,
witnessed him
he's not
change his
himself.
kind of behavior and attitude, and he has not noticed us.
Yeah, now I'll very quickly clarify that he didn't get to the platform and suddenly go dun and kind of
Yeah.
a curtain descended. This is just somebody is moving and behaving in a way which implies that they may have been sequestered. And as to the duration of that, how much control, how much degree, it's a little wobbly. At any rate, your stealth is intact. You are both on the platform when you see Paul drop off the edge and basically head into the tunnels. You've got a split-second decision to make, and it is in my.
Follow him.
Okay. Well, follow is fine, but the branch of my campaign notes have very much like, what if combat breaks out immediately? Which is always a possibility. I will
What
say that
if?
you are still kind of semi in a public area, and the procedures would very much. I mean, you can decide how much reinforcement you want to get, how much everything. The two of you to start with, while we leave the others, standing, leaning on the platform. What is your immediate actions?
I'm gonna look at PC Lewis, just raise an eyebrow.
He's going down to like where the tracks are. Is it like a
Yeah,
side
he
tunnel?
he went right to the very edge of the platform, and there's like a little access gate that you're meant to
Yeah.
unhook and have like a key for and things. He's basically slipped around it and has functionally dropped down onto the subway.
Yeah.
And is now walking.
But like along
I-
the wall after the platform.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would just like look for the nearest kind of emergency intercom button, press that, like shut the trains down, stop the trains.
Okay. That
Somebody's on the tracks,
Uh,
yeah.
And then if
makes total
that's
sense.
my first instinct, yeah.
So you head straight over to the emergency intercom and you press it. It's loud enough, just like hearing the sort of buzzer go off. There's like a loud bing when you lean in to press that alerts that somebody has pressed the button. And as you start speaking, you expect that Paul may notice that you've done something here and speed up. But what you're doing is the right call. Also, there's probably cameras and things like that are going to spot him. So, this all links in. Button, you had something to add?
I think I'm probably gonna, if the button is like elsewhere on the platform, I'm probably gonna start following Paul and at least get to where the platform ceases and the tracks begin, just so that we've kind of got a bridge between PC Lewis when he starts following myself and then Paul. So at least if I can keep a little bit of an eye line on Paul, or notice if he starts speeding up. So I'm going to keep trying to follow him to a certain point. I don't want like the platform to be out of sight or anything, and I'm not going to put myself like in a huge amount of danger if a train is imminent.
No, totally. You
But
head
a little bit of danger.
a little. You're following after a suspect, so
danger.
there's a little bit.
bit.
Totally fine. PC Lewis, you make the announcement, telling people to stop the trains,
Well,
and you would
Oh,
No,
I
it's,
imagine it's like an
yeah.
intercom
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like the control room or something.
Exactly.
Not like a
tell
loud
them.
public
Yeah, no,
announcement.
you're not megaphone. I would assume that you would also have a code for this, so it's more of that you press, and when the voice in the other end says, hello, did you mean to press the button, or did you just lean on it? You go, this is a
Yeah, there's an emergencies. Person on the tracks.
Yeah, and-
PC Patrick Lewis in attendance. That's
In pursuit.
shut down the trains.
perfect. And immediately, you get a pretty good response. I might ask you to make a law check here, just to see how much authority you can like throw out immediately.
I think you're pushing it for a lot. I think you're being too kind to me. This feels like a social check.
Mhm.
I
The
think
person on the
more
other end, that's
players-
just
I
like
think-
a station
I
worker.
think you're
This
I
isn't
think
a
you're
cop.
This is
angling
you
for your
knowing
free
who to
bonus die on
call
social
for
checks.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
I am angling for my
procedures-
bonus die on social checks, but I also have a social of 30. And then
I think
60 and
I would
more.
like the law approach here. If that's
Very
all right.
good.
Yes.
Then I shall give it to you. 13.
Okay. Well, very well done. Wouldn't have mattered either
Good.
way.
All as well.
Is that a hard success?
It is.
Okay.
Yay.
It
So-
surely is. It's actually it's under a. Maths is hard now.
We don't have fifth values
What's
in this
half
game.
of a
It's
half?
fine.
Quarter. No. I forgot the word quarter. That was my issue.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
1/4.
that's right.
The first rule, the first rule about breaking London public transport regulation is to know them by the book. So you hit every single one, start shutting the place down. Meanwhile, Button, you get pretty close up to the edge of the platform and you peek out. Now, honoring your stealth roll from last session, what you see is that this Paul is heading into the tunnels and speeds up because they hear the sound of the tracks being shut down. But what they don't do is go, I've been spotted by, the police and I'm being tailed and start bolting. They just go, yep, this expected, and just
Yeah, because
paces
he would
ahead.
have expected that to happen because of the cameras and just general security on the platform. He's like, okay, I've only got like seconds.
Exactly. So you have not alerted Paul to the fact that he is being tailed by people who are in the know about his activities. But Paul is alert that there are observers, so to speak. So going further and like properly descending into the tunnels. Yeah, but you have a rough direction. I mean, like the train loop that Paul stayed on was roughly kind of in the area surrounding the British Museum station and things like that. So there's only so much down there of relevance that you're aware of, unless Paul suddenly developed a real interest in the quiet folk. This is probably related to that.
There. And he doesn't know that he's being actively knowingly pursued.
Exactly.
For who and what he is. We've still got that advantage of surprise, so.
If you're not going to immediately sprint down, Paul vanishes a little bit, although you have the trail.
We know where he's going.
And you can now make a couple of calls out or anything like that. PC Lewis, you managed to shut down things pretty actively, and with a special success, you probably I think you can probably get a hold of Kumar pretty quickly.
I was going to say, if I've got time as well, I'll probably just send a text to Kumar and Pudding at the same time, because group texts are more efficient to tell them both what's going on.
Lucy, you don't have
And
thumbs.
Lucy, I guess if Lucy's on, I know Lucy's on the gram. I'll write an Instagram message.
You've
if I've
added
got
the
time.
Instagram.
It gets lost in the flood. Things.
I'm gonna take like a pig's ear out of my camera, one of my camera holsters, because I've definitely got like those two big holsters with like a old man backpack, and I'm gonna take like a pig's ear out and just put it like at the end of the platform, like
Wait,
come on,
leave a
girl.
trail.
Well, Lucy's with me at the moment, I think we
The smell
established
across the
back
city.
But I want to be clear that Pudding is exactly the kind of person that gets a text about what's going on from the group and shows Lucy.
Yes. So
He's
Lucy
like,
Lucy
look
Smith,
what's happening. Just really wants to and then you try and eat my phone, and I am like, no, jerky for you, beef, because Pudding's just eating again.
So jumping back to the two of you for a second, then you've headed over to speak with Mary Mahet, and also to probably have a word with Dr. Sams. These are, the experts that you'll be able to consult. You would have arrived at the forensic lab. It's accredited by the police and things like that, but it's not a police facility. So it is a lot more casual as you go in, but you would be let through
Is it in near/in the Folly?
No. This is a separate scientific facility that is off to one. They have procedures to deal with this kind of thing, and there's like a cordoned off section for the forensic work that needs to be done. And this is where you would have to present your Folly associate cards and things like that, or yours is stamped on your little vest, Lucy.
What? So I'm not waiting for them to check.
Yeah. Lucy goes and Pudding's like, it's me. and Lucy, okay. Dr. Sam's great. Yeah. And just kind of awkwardly, haphazardly sort of flags. And I think I would assume if it's cordoned off, that is it similar to the main police force where a lot of people are like, we actually don't want to know. Just go. Please just go. We don't act. Please.
Yeah.
Yep. Just yes, go.
It's pretty much that. I mean, even just like for the regular forensic work that would be done here, it's of a different flavor to what happens in a lot of the facility. When you get through, it's a fairly standard, like medical lab with examination stuff set up. There's a small side room, and it doesn't quite look like an interrogation room. It's just like an adjoining suite. When you arrive, Mary is sitting in there, sort of resting on the table, hands on the table, and not sitting in a chair. There's a bunch of like books and materials spread out, and Mary's very, very still. Dr. Sams comes over, has a bit of a chat with you, explains that she doesn't quite sleep, I don't think. But there's long periods of stillness. The activity isn't constant. I still don't fully understand. I mean, from an unusual perspective, we really have no insight into the mechanics. But
she turns off when there's anti-magic fields, so probably something to do with that. Because I don't turn off in an anti-magic field, even though I'm also kind of magic.
Presumably the connection with the amulet not working as well. Maybe it retreats the presence or whatever enchantments on it. I couldn't really say.
Makes a lot of sense. Pudding is looking around because his place is full. I have a friend who is a forensic toxicologist, so I kind of know what a forensics lab looks like, at least a little bit. Is fully looking around at like high quality microscopes and like pipettes and just like rows of little test tubes. And there's definitely like a small freezer where bits of people are kept.
Yep, that's the thing Lucy's next to.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favorite.
Bones in here.
Bones.
Less bones and more like
no, there's
bits of liver and eyeball juice, from what I remember from my friend saying.
You can write it, bones.
It's one of my favorite phrases that they ever used was, we had a guy come into my work. Well, bits of a guy.
Oh.
Mostly his liver. And I was like, that's amazing. Anyway, yeah. So like, again, Pudding is weirdly distracted by just like science stuff. It's just fascinated by a lot of things in general, but will like focus in on Mary Mett and say, I just have a couple of questions for Mary Mett, if you don't mind, if you could help translate. We had a relatively good rapport going, but I don't speak ancient Greek. I barely speak English some days, so
For sure. So the time frame is a little bit scalable here. Rather than play out the full conversation, what I'll ask is, what kind of stuff are you? It's sort of a continued research process, similar to what happened when we did the extended interview. What kind of information are you trying to get, and then at some point, you get you start getting the acute pings, and okay, Forta is on the move.
It's very simple. You said that I was able to take like a copy of the photographs of that amulets.
Yep.
I want to like show Mary Mett like what we found and say, 1, is this who you are looking for? And 2, why are there 5? Because I've already identified that there shouldn't be. So just like getting an understanding of like, what are these? Is this what you were looking for? Can you tell me what this 5th one is? And like getting any insight or like, I guess, advantage from talking to her so that we know what if she even knows what it is. If she goes, I have no idea what this is, I've never seen it before, well, that's great. But the implication that she's also a practitioner suggests like, I think also like, without sort of even thinking about it, Pudding will ask also like, is this like mummy, is this you, or is this a house for you? Like, and then kind of go, sorry if that's a rude question. Actually, you don't have to answer that.
Totally good. I'll get you to make a social check here, and this is something where your silver tongue will absolutely come into play.
Well, how do I do that again? I got it.
Yeah, I believe it's just a bonus die for you.
No, just like how do I roll?
Ah.
entirely? I just have to open roll
Too far
20 and be
down
like,
there.
wait, what am I doing?
button.
So this is a social, which is a success,
Cool.
flat out. No, I need to write roll before that thing. Yeah, so
Oof.
57 under 60.
Okay, perfect.
So it's a success.
All right, so you get a little bit of information. And again, this takes a while, but there's two main extractions from it. First of all, regarding the amulets. So Mary can basically confirm, these amulets are magical, and although it's you get a little bit vague on like personal pronouns here, but the amulets are selves. They are people, and where the shell and the body begins, it's quite they are holy artifacts, and they are representative. You believe that they contain some presence of consciousness.
Yeah, so like Mary Mahet is as much like is the amulet more than she is the mummy, but like is theoretically still both.
This is a bit like, does the being you communicate consider them to be a continuation of the corpse of Mary Mahet, or do they consider themselves to be a being separate to? Yes, they're in the amulet for functional, like real simple. That
Yeah.
you and
It's hard
Dr.
to be
Sam's
like-
have notes that you're like doing in private behind it.
It feels like one of those things where it's like, yeah, if she's housed in the amulet but has no consciousness without a physical form to attach to, then like at what point does the consciousness in the amulet actually become a consciousness? Hello, welcome to Alex. Is this any close to the 3-body problem? This feels like something along those lines. Just weird philosophy. Weird. This feels more like the teleportation thing. If you die and then get perfectly recreated, is that the same as teleportation, or is that somehow awful and worse?
These are all questions you ask to Mary Mahet. You also
No, is it?
Soul
This
goes
is
in
just
amulet.
what's going on in Pudding's head while this conversation is happening. It's fully just like, okay, so like, are you, is the amulet the thing, or is it, I never thought about consciousness before. Just like,
For sure.
little background noise.
Oh, 100%. No, and just to follow on to that, the other thing is that you show the added amulet, and Mary Mahet is visibly distressed by this. Now, she does not know why it is there. She doesn't necessarily know the full details of what it is. She can give you some information on it, but apart from it probably came, and this is what Dr. Sam will tell you, after her. Like, there's stylings on it that probably mean it was slightly more modern. She will make reference to
her one slightly more modern than her, or the one that you're showing that the other
fifth
blokes
one.
the
wearing?
fifth one, the imposter. So something that might have been added. Ancient Egyptian history is long, but you can have more modern stuff that is still very, very ancient.
Just out of interest, sorry, Jim, did the museum actually have any kind of dating on the items? Like, were they able to be like, so these 3 are from like are carbon dated to this approximate period, and then this one is carbon dated to like a complete, or were they all kind of the same?
They had fallen out of the rotation of the museum's like mind and care before any of that sort of more modern archaeological like procedure stuff had come through. They sort of had it at the era of like, it's ancient Egyptian, wow, kind of thing.
They found a set and went, this is all the same, even though like
one of them
no one actually looked at it properly. Yeah.
Now the only thing that she clarifies is that she will mention a few times a APEP, Apfoth, and you pretty quickly come to that is an Egyptian god, or one, as much as we know about ancient Egyptian mythology in detail.
Can you spell it for me, please?
APEP. Also written as APHOPH.
Yes.
It is as close as you get to a capital B baddie god. The evil snake thing.
I had to Google that.
Chaos. Yeah, absolutely, yes.
I was curious.
Yeah, go
Something
right
loud.
ahead. AP.
No, Lucy, you're a dog.
Oh.
You're not allowed to. We've got safe
The
search on
dog's
for
on
a
the
reason.
computer.
In dog
You're
years,
6 years
you're
old,
of
only a
age.
couple of years old.
She's just playing RuneScape. She's not
Look, I
actually
will
Googling
go and
information.
look into this later because it interests me. But currently, my note is evil snake god of chaos.
Yes.
All right, let's go.
So bad thing. Now the The last thing
Take me back to Shadows of the Stillwater.
Yeah, very fun. Now, there is one last thing, and without a higher level of success, I'm afraid that there's just one piece of information that Mary and Dr. Sams don't quite share. They haven't quite got there yet. I'm trying to drain every bit of luck I can from the already depleted pudding.
No, that's mean.
It's very mean.
I mean, no, I would have to get down to a 30, which would put me on... I'm on 27. So I could do it, but it would put me on 0, which...
Oh.
Like, you know...
Literally out of luck.
That's fun.
I feel like at that point, because we've kind of fully been playing this as Pudding's luck is also like their vitality to some extent. So I feel like if we get Pudding down to 0, Pudding fully just goes and curls up in a ball on a chair.
Donk, yeah. And
is out. So like I'm happy to, but I may not rock up for the rest of the session.
There's something
Until
else,
midnight
but
happens.
it is not critical information. You can do without it. I think that if it's a choice between Pudding being comatose, you probably just have to let that one go.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sure we'll find it. The fact that she's worried about it is enough. It's enough to be like, this is bad. It's bad. We should probably be careful. And like, do we talk about all of the amulets as housing, or just the 3 that she knows about?
All of the ones, like when you show her the other ones and the housing amulets, and then she doesn't know this one, but presumably, yeah, very could be.
Cool.
Probably.
That's fine. That was based on what I've got, great. Yeah. Also, we already know that the other 2 know that it's possessed, so whatever.
So, when the text comes, then, is your immediate instinct to book it as fast as you can, get towards the station? All right.
As soon as I'm made aware of it in any way, I haul ass.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. All right. Putting you seem slightly in thought.
Yeah. Who owns the stations?
The stations?
Transport for
Big
London?
train.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
In terms of the
Ghosts.
demimonde. So there is some suggestion that the tube itself is of a potent enough strength to develop a genius loci. If there is one, you do not know who it is. So as of at this point, it is a big metal ringing chime that everyone is aware of and says, oh, that's a thing, but yeah.
For the most part, I mean, like the rivers of London mostly run underground, and so like if there's a channel that goes a bit close to a river, then that river would be aware of what goes on there.
Or the quiet.
There's also
folk.
the quiet people. Yeah, there's also like it's a whole thing.
Dwarves, basically.
It's less about like, it's not so much that Pudding wants to try and contact such a thing, but to be like, we had an interaction with a infant genus loci who was real not pleased about people coming into their space. So Pudding takes a moment to just find a couple of items that they associate with the tube, like maybe today's newspaper, like a ticket stub, and I don't know, some kind of item of maybe you know what? It's a little bucket of chips from one of the stalls, and we'll do a little offering before going off the platform, but wants to go and do just a very quick collection of some things as a hey, just in case there's another one where we are I kind of set things off So like I wanna acknowledge that I'm a guest in your house, and I'm not here to like fuck any shit up. I'm here on your etc. Because like yeah, there's a lot of rules, and I think maybe like my mum's were like, hey, you just got to be polite because we don't know about how all the connections I don't know about, but like base rule, be polite.
For sure. No, get you far in life. Makes total sense. So you can gather that up, and then you and Lucy will rush across to join the others. In the meantime, preparation, that's basically the preparations that you do. And in that downtime that you have, some other stuff's going to happen. So first of all, PC Lewis, what's your angle from a legal perspective for this? You shut down traffic so that there's not like, the standard thing of don't hit somebody, but also like making sure that there's like a cordon and that an alert is put out. Are you trying to get a bunch of police presence at other stations? Are you trying to keep this relatively quiet? Are you trying to get a guide to come in? Do you want Kumar with you? What's your angle?
I think with us, yeah, no, we're shutting down the station immediately, telling people who need to be told, and then like it's kind of as the person on the scene, not necessarily my job, I think, to coordinate everything else that's going on. What we got here is a possible sequestration or practitioner. You got to have 2 to 1 in that kind of situation. So all I can do is call everything in and trust that Kumar and everyone else are gonna handle what's going on around me, but I gotta follow Barton.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. At which point then it probably you'll get some kind of word from Nightingale or one of the other authorities of the Folly, and it will be so the requisite like protections are set up around the other exits. What happens here is so you need to the disruption to the train services has already happened, which means that you should follow and try and apprehend or at least see if this person is indeed, as you suspect, possibly a threat.
Well, a threat to themselves, most likely.
Yeah. No reason to suspect this should end in any kind of brawl. Anyway, Barton, what about you? You have a little bit of time. You've got like photographs of the various places that are along there. You could try and like run through your memory or get an approximate like layout of the place, or you could run and try and pick up some equipment if you're not going leaving. To. Yeah,
I'm going down. I'm going under I'm going into the tunnels. Even if it means going a little ahead of PC Lewis just to kind of keep the trail warm, knowing that PC Lewis will catch up to me as a professional police person.
Okay. All right. PC Lewis. So then you're going to follow after Barton.
Correcto.
Okay. Perfect.
Off we go.
Very good to know. So down into the caves. You're pretty sure that with the pig's ear left at the end of the station, so the rough.
They'll find us. They'll find us. They know which end we've gone off now because the pig's ear.
Yeah, exactly.
I can guarantee you, Lucy will find immediately.
No doubt. And you can start heading into the darkness. The station that you've come off from and the route that you take is not the same one that Kumar led you from. And without his direct assistance, it's a lot tougher to get your bearings. That said, you do have a rough idea about the direction you're going, and you are kind of roughly following somebody. It's so like dusty and grimy down here that you can reasonably be looking for things like footprints to help you get where you need to go.
And remember, I took a Polaroid of like the underground map, so I've got with me like a reference.
Absolutely. So I think that all things considered, you are probably looking at a navigation, a navigate role. I think this is going to be a difficult role to be doing it solid, but I think you have a bonus die, given all of the various conditions that you've just laid out.
Can I suggest an observation roll rather than trying to like actually work out where I'm going? Be more on the footprints, dust, sound up ahead kind of navigation, school of navigation.
If Barton's like trying to follow Forte.
Yep.
If Barton's trying to follow Forta and then I'm keeping an eye on where we are and then relaying that to Kumar, that could be a good kind of division of labor.
I think that makes sense. So, are you proposing here you yourself assisting basically PC Lewis? Or are you proposing you making you're the one making the navigate roll?
If Barton is observing, I'm navigating.
Yeah. Rather than doing it together with a bonus, we're doing two separate things that we're individually better at.
Yeah. No, okay.
Unless there's like cameras everywhere, and the control room is going to know where we are.
There's definitely
yes, there's cameras everywhere.
There's definitely cameras, but there's not. It's not. It's not a tunnel. You're off the streets where a lot of places are observed, and you're going to start skewing into pretty difficult areas to track. And one patch of like opaque darkness looks much like another. So I think that given that it's still going to here is the final rolls as I see them. I think that you can make an observation roll button. I don't think you'll get a bonus die though, but you're basically your preparation here is going to enable you to make the observation roll instead to have the same effect. And PC Lewis, it'll just be a regular navigate roll. What you really need, because both of these will be hard still, is you need Lucy with track, because that is the perfect roll for this situation. But let's see how you get going for the minute.
Let's see if we can avoid losing him to start with. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Bro.
Hell yeah, nice.
Easy.
Let's see if we can avoid losing ourselves. Yes.
Hell
Easy,
yeah. Okay.
Surprising myself here.
Fantastic.
We're so good at this. We're so good at this.
Okay. Well done. I mean, you start feeling pretty
so.
confident. You are able to not only follow, but you are able to avoid any of the dangerous hazards. You don't trip and fall and smack something. You don't end up either, thus far, alerting Paul to your presence. When you're calling in things, PC Lewis, you're able to stay back a bit and wait until you have enough space to be able to speak, and then continue on and pick back up the trail. It becomes increasingly obvious as you do so that Paul is definitely heading for the British Museum station, as if there was any doubt. But it also becomes completely obvious that he is not exactly sure where it is. You get the sense that this is not the first time he's been into the tunnels in one way or another, and it's possible that he's been searching for this place before, but hasn't quite found it. Something has changed, and considering you pulled Mary Mahet through here, and you know that the tube really just clings to Vestigia, it's very possible that you have a situation where Paul is able to detect that passage and follow it back along. But slowly and surely, he is honing in on the British Museum station. If you want to get close enough to see what he does when he gets there, like in the sort of immediacy, like as in you're a corner behind him and you can see what he's getting up to, you're going to have to make a stealth check. Otherwise, you can sort of hover and you can he's in the station and hasn't gone on anywhere else, but you're sort of at the entrance to the place with somebody unalerted inside, and that's kind of where we're at the time being.
Fuck it, I'll hit a stealth.
Okay, right, you're going to actually follow a little closer. PC Lewis, do you want to hang back, or are you going to try as well?
I would love to hang back, and thank you for asking.
Okay, so you're hanging right by the entrance. You get sort of a little closer to where that tunnel comes through. There's some of the areas that you trod carefully over. You, Barton, are able to climb up and actually sneak a bit closer. Hubris and confidence in chat, but let's go, please.
Before I do so, I'm going to pop the battery out of my old Nokia 3310.
Yep.
And kind of eye contact with PC Lewis, pop my battery out just to be like, obviously, if it goes bad, I will do a magic. So you can come help.
Roger that.
I'll do a magic that you can see. I've got one of those.
Before you make the roll, Barton, I'll just say, so you start to get a little bit closer. And as you do, you remember that kind of tuneless singing that you heard from Mary through the folds of the bandages. As you get here, you can hear a similar kind of deeper humming here. It's coming out in Paul's voice, obviously, echoing sort of discordantly through the tunnels. And, you don't want to stereotype anybody singing anything is inherently sinister. But
Oh,
there is
no,
a
it
real
is. It
kind of
super is.
ancient language mantra aspect to it, kind of like very deep pulsing. It's a little
I don't trust
creepy.
anyone who does karaoke either.
Fair enough.
Spooky.
All right, let's see the stealth roll.
Bad.
Okay, pretty bad.
However, I'm gonna lock that down to a success. Oh my god, get
Nice.
Okay.
Ah.
Perfect. So you climb up onto the station and start heading along the platform. As I mentioned, there's sort of trash and bits of stuff here that have been slowly moved further back. As I mentioned, like 5 weeks ago in a different session, they've slowly been moving all of the different materials back across the platform. You accidentally kick something over as you're heading through, but you're able to duck behind cover just in time, and you don't think that Paul has cottoned on to you. You are immediately able to figure out that Paul is heading deeper in and seems to be roughly trying to track, you would guess, the leftover imprint of Mary Mehet, sort of following through, stops, moves in a way that suggests, sensing vestigia or something like that. And again, you can get that sort of heavier, corrupted, same sense impression of what you got from Mary Mehet earlier. You're a little closer, PC Lewis, you're a bit further back. Pudding and Lucy, you two are going to arrive at the station. You'll get through the cordons, no problems asked. I think what I'll need is we'll see how effectively you can basically catch up. Lucy, can I get a track roll from you, I think?
On it. Okay, that is a hard success.
Okay, so
The pig's ear is all I need.
this is completely your domain. No, you've been in the tunnels, you've wandered around, you've already found the place by yourself. You're able to follow from this platform.
Well, that's it. Do we think we anticipate where they're going? Can we try and, like, if I think that they're going back to that same place, can we ditch the trail and try and just get ahead to
I'm completely happy with that. This is basically you're built for this, and you've rolled well on the check for it. I think that you functionally catch up with PC Lewis and sort of hover along as Barton's a little bit closer. Along the way, though, I just want to feed into your track roll a little bit more, right? You have a pretty good sense of vestigia yourself based on the people you've been around. And as I mentioned, Mary Mehet had that sort of practitioner edge to their so they had Signare rather than a vestigia, so to speak. You get a same sense of that, but there's something a little off about it. Can I get you to make a sense vestigia roll here?
Oh yeah, that's a 7. That's
excellent.
also my highest skill, I think, at the moment.
So
okay.
I really wanted this to come out as a result of basically you going back to have done research alongside Mary Mehet. So like you went back with Pudding, and I think that this is what you feed out. You are pretty sure, because you've been around a lot of practitioners being at the Folly, both people who were trained, untrained, and sort of innately magical, like Molly and Foxglove and stuff like that. You have a sneaking suspicion that although these people have a Signare kind of echo, it's coming from the amulets. You haven't seen any magic cast by Mary Mehet or anything. You're not sure if they're magically capable. And it sort of occurs to you at that point that they might be biting, hitting, and clawing rather than casting spells.
There's this possession that's coming from the amulet, but that's the end of it.
Well, you basically it might be a thing where they can affect an ability to control something they're put on, whether that is a person or a corpse, but you don't know if they can cast spells, basically.
Okay.
So
Wizards.
linking up with PC Lewis, you see your allies are arriving behind you. You know that Barton's a bit further ahead and currently uncontactable because their phone is off. What's the play from the three of you?
Hi.
Hi.
What's going on?
I think we just have to keep on following, keep on in pursuit, and maybe apprehend him before he does anything regrettable.
What just because this is like the first time we've sort of done this, what's the end goal?
Well,
Do we-
just stop
is it
him before he hurts
Lucy
himself or others.
growls.
so like arrest him or like get the amulet off him or like what do
Well, certainly the amulet is stolen property, so yes, we should recover that.
Cool. How
One step at a
Like-
time. That's
Okay.
how. That's how.
Okay. Are we meant to not hit them?
Well, we can certainly defend ourselves. But
Barn's a
preferably
big
not.
guy. He'll sit on them.
Okay. So
I mean, talking him down is obviously always the first preference, and you've got quite a lot of talent in that department. So by all means, have a chat if you think it'll help. But as
Best-
far as we can tell, there is sounds like there is an entity inside of the amulet that's
yeah, not a good one.
the one to be worried about. Yes,
Yeah, chaos demon snake.
good.
Yeah, god of bad things.
Good.
Maybe
Oh,
nighttime.
not good.
Not sure. Could maybe be like, Ra's nemesis. I don't know. It seemed off.
Well, let's just see what he's up to, shall we?
Okay.
After you.
So you have an indication of like how far you can safely approach because you've got Barton ahead playing scout. So you start
That's
moving
right.
onto the platform, going close. Lucy, if you like, you could try and sneak up to join Barton.
I'm
at any
actually not
point.
super sneaky, so I will stay with the
Mm.
others. My intent will be to move up into as far as I can, but
Okay,
not yet.
perfect. Now the other thing is that you've done some exploring, basically on the other side of all of this, right? So you know that the only way that you go deeper is if you go through the sort of broken out areas into the British Museum, kind of thing. So it's a pretty blocked off area unless you're going to start smashing walls, which is always a possibility. Up ahead,
He's saying he's heading for a dead end.
heading for well again. It's
he-
what yeah.
Goddamn right he is.
Yeah.
He's heading for something that's blocked off. Whether or not the thing controlling him decides that actually it doesn't care about the musculoskeletal integrity of the thing that it's piloting,
Yeah.
we'll find out.
Well, that's not so much the issue. The issue is if the thing piloting him decides to cast magic and then he ends up with cauliflower brain.
entirely
I'm
true.
pretty sure, like, torn muscle and ligament and broken bones is, like, also kind of not great. Like a broken spine or a cauliflower. Neither of those are fun.
Yeah.
Lucy hears
Uh,
bones and moves forward to meet Barton.
It-
Excited for the forthcoming
It-
battle.
what I wanted to get at is that it's breakable through, but it's hard. It's like so. Yeah. Anyway, up ahead, Barton. You are following a little bit closer. You've now headed down that sort of larger corridor where you initially had you heard Mary kind of singing from. As you get there, you spot all of a sudden there's been a change. There is a bunch of police tape and all kinds of crime scene stuff up. As you know, the body of Elaine is just around the corner there. And there's a whole set of blocks and everything like that. Obviously, breaking the integrity of the public transit system is one thing. But you do note here that Paul gets up to the line and sort of stands looking at the crime scene tape for a second, scans across it, and then ducks under, moves straight through.
Okay.
Comes around the corner
Fine.
and vanishes. You can follow right
No,
after.
I
it,
can't
that's
let him
correct.
do
No
that.
respect for procedure.
I can't let him do that. I'm gonna have to Sindari that guy.
Ooh, fantastic.
I can't let him just
Oh,
heck off into the museum.
Okay, so he's come round to the side. He's turning onto what will be that second.
I'm not gonna I don't want to let him break
area.
the police tape and go through the crime scene.
Okay, yeah. So
Because
so
whatever
you were-
the thing in the amulet, the big bad in the amulet wants is in the museum. The closer it gets to it, I feel like that is bad for all of us.
Yeah, well, entirely fair. I'm just setting the layout of the thing just before we engage the spell. So you've got this first platform that you came into. This is where you spoke with Elaine. You've got that corridor that came around the corner, and then basically an adjoining kind of twin platform, which is where you initially had that conversation with Mary Mahet. There's the cupboard nearby, and then that heads deeper into tunnels that you know lead up to the British Museum.
Mm-hmm.
While Paul is going round the corner, you decide to spring your trap. So, Sindere, how do you feel about
I'm gonna have to pump another magic point into that. Yeah, it's mastered. I'm gonna have to pump another one into it to hold something the size of a person instead of a watermelon. So I think it's like a heavy sigh, like a see him like reach out towards the police tape and just like eye roll, silent sigh, like a. I'm not even the real wizard here, lad.
You're just the photographer. Really? Bring me pictures of Mary Mahet.
Not even supposed to be working.
Fine. And quietly mutter Sinderi. And just pop a hand out. It's like you're just gonna stop.
Perfect.
You're just gonna stop.
So here's what we're gonna do. First of all, we've established you've seen this before. When you cast spells around Mary Mahet, they had the ability to sort of pick up when magic was being cast.
Oh,
so
I know. It's
get
not
you
good
to
for me.
make a magic roll. Okay,
Nice.
all right, well done.
Got 'em.
I'd love to hear before we continue. This is you really zoning in and doing the best magic that Barton Oslo can. What does Barton Oslo's like king cast look like?
He's a big guy. Like my constitution is 80. Like this is a tall, heavy set man. Like it's like rugby stance. Like it's like he's getting ready to go in for a rugby tackle. It's like feet apart, slight squat, hands up. Like not quite box, closer to rugby than boxer, but like it's not it's a ready for anything to come at him. It's not like he's about to barrel someone down, but it's like I'm ready to take whatever is coming. And the hand motion with it is really subtle because the concern is like being grounded and just like a little like almost unpronounced. PC Lewis would hate it. Nightingale would have a fit at the way he says this, but it works.
Yeah.
So.
You get the former right, and as you
just a real Cinderella.
Yeah, Cinderella.
He really is from Queensland. Cinder, right?
Yeah.
Cinder, hey?
Cinder, right?
That's perfect. Okay.
And it sounds like a question. Yeah, the Queenslander comes out because it sounds like a question. Cinder, right?
Well, the question will be answered. If Paul had the capacity to notice, he does it just slightly too late. And we are at this point going to kick off combat because outside, still close enough that you're able to detect the sudden surge of a familiar signare. Button, what's your signare one more time?
It drifts backwards down the tunnel to those following behind. The buzz of a fluorescent light, the scent of a strong cup of tea, and the feeling of sheets of paper hanging in the dark around you. And you probably can't catch the cinder, eh? Really quiet.
Fucking cinder, eh? Anyway, all right, great. So, combat works a little bit differently in Rivers of London. We're just going to launch through it very, very quickly, and also just as a reminder for anyone who wants to be able to run it. First of all, we're going to sort out initiative, right? Initiative also works differently, and it's a bit fun. We, first of all, determine who's starting this whole combat encounter, right? And that is you, Button. So you go first, right? Now, instead of doing any kind of boring stuff like resolving using decks, terrible. No. What we do is we literally just say, you're starting, okay, we go around the table in a circle. We're not at a table, don't worry, we go the order of the screens. So genuinely, it's Button, then it's me, then it's Pudding, then it's Lewis, then it's Lucy. That is the order we will go in.
Screens are relative. I guess we're doing the OBS one.
Exactly. I'm going by what is currently output to...
Can you say that once more? And I'm going to reorder my Zoom screen.
Very fair.
So I can play along at home.
We are going Button starting, and then it flips back to the top, which is I'm in top left on the output view. Pudding, Lewis, Lucy, Oslo.
Heard. Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
perfect. And we just cycle through like that. There's a couple of other little factors, and about how turns and things work. But for the time being, let's resolve this spell. Right? You cast, and because Paul is completely unaware at this point, he does not get the chance to try and fight back or resist or anything like that. Your spell applies. Now, your spell still does have a caveat to it, which is that somebody can try and break out of it. So, the Signare fires. All of you feel it and immediately know that something has kicked off. Paul stiffens going around the corner, and then immediately you hear this and like a swear in a language that you don't quite recognize, but you think is probably as ancient, Greek or Egyptian or something like that, and you know it's a swear, and tries to shove round the corner as best he can. As according to the rules of Cinderay, what we do is it's a strength check versus a power check here. Strength of the person who is trying to move the object that's being restrained. In this case, it is Paul trying to move himself versus your power. So we will both roll D100.
Damn. That's a bummer for you.
Heck.
Ooh. Lovely.
Oh,
Okay.
what the hell?
Fumble.
And now, is that good or bad?
That is just about the worst possible roll I could have gotten. Well, literally. Wow.
It's a
I was
fumble.
not expecting that. So, as Paul tries to get round the corner, there is a...
Does he manage to move himself just enough to like clock his head on the side of a wall and give himself a mild concussion?
My back.
What he does is,
Overbalances.
as he goes, he grabs at the amulet that's around his neck, and in the freezing, moves and he's got it clasped in his hand, but you see the cord or the chain that was holding it snap slightly under the sudden pressure, and then Paul is frozen, still holding it, and you can see muscles bulging, straining, struggling, but he's not moving. We continue along. That's his
I just have
turn.
an
He
idea.
tries as best he can, and we follow along. Pudding.
Amulet, please.
Okay, so you are
I want
going
it.
to book it as far as you
Just
can,
take it.
straight towards. This
Because
good,
my spell affects him.
good time
as
to
a
talk
person.
about movement. So you're all a little further back, right? In Rivers of London, we care about 3 distances, right? Care about a short distance. We care about arm's length, and we care about a longer way, which is you using all of your movement to get there. You are not a short distance from Paul because you stayed back a little bit. Barton is a short distance from Paul. So you use basically your entire turn to sprint around the corner and get all the way. If you need to measure things out, you use your move score, and it's basically meters per move, 5 times meters per move if you're moving for the entire thing. So you tear around the corner and sprint, and you're going to be able to make it all the way up to Paul. You're not going to be
40.
able... About 40? Yep, so
Well,
about
8
40
times
meters.
5 would be 40 meters.
40
so
meters. Yeah, so you
like
turn
about
the corner.
a block.
Well, you sprint down. I mean, you sprint down an entire corridor, basically. Yeah, yeah. Dun fired straight down, running at top speed. Are you a graceful runner, Pudding?
Oh, yeah, I reckon Pudding would be, right? Like,
Fast as fire.
Yeah, I think because I have athletics. So athletics is 60, my dex is 60, and I also have fast reactions, which lets me respond to things twice around and never be outnumbered. So yeah, I think I don't
think it makes sense, but I think
No,
it's beautiful to watch.
we've also established that Pudding with those two things very much parkours their way around London a lot of the time. So I think it's not graceful, but it is flowing. But also weirdly, it's a mixture of flowing and also rapid changes of direction and motion, and springing off things. Essentially, it would honestly be like looking at a fire move. Sometimes it's beautiful and flowy. Sometimes it randomly flickers in directions. Pudding moves however makes sense for them to get where they need to go as quickly as possible. And it sort of just kind of maybe looks a little bit like magic.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Very cool. Okay, so
if there's like a ticket railing, they will either like fling themselves underneath it or like launch off, probably stick a like foot on a wall to push off, like do a little like forward roll when they land, because they probably jump 2.5 meters up a wall. Just like really book it with like this is a corridor that should have obstacles. There are no obstacles here.
You're making your own.
Putting just full pelts this.
Yeah.
You could have gone straight around, but you deliberately choose to hit one of the obstacles so that you get the chance to jump. No, that's perfect. PC Lewis, let's go with you next. What's your immediate reaction? Similar thing. You're going to be moving, but if you want to give me an intention of what you're going to do the next fight, or you can get into, because you're not trying to get into arm's length. You're trying to get
Certainly
to
not.
a short distance if you want to be doing something from range.
Yeah, I think short distance would be fine, and maybe just calling out on the airwave as I go.
Okay, fantastic.
Just so everyone knows what's going on. That's kind of my job, because it looks like everyone else in the party isn't interested.
Were we far enough away from the magic the button did that like our stuff is still fine?
We were ages away.
Yeah.
You were a short distance from Barton, a longer distance from Paul.
The effect of the spell?
The effect of the spell, but the caster still.
It's still casting.
I'll tell you what. PC Lewis, you've got the unit. Roll a luck check for me. Let's figure it out that way.
I think
I'm still casting it.
Quarter.
So as soon as you get close to me, I'm like, I'm sustaining the spell.
No. 19 luck. I'm outraged.
Say goodbye to your iPod Touch.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So you grab out the airwave, hoping that you're going to be able to immediately call it in, and as you click, you do not hear the receipt of static on the other end. You immediately know, a kind of grimace that you are not transmitting, and can probably safely toss that thing for the time being.
That's okay. I'm not going to litter.
You're going, but you're well, yeah, can't break
Write
all
yourself
the rules.
a ticket.
Do you want to you're stopping at a short distance from Paul.
I would say so. I have some spells, but yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I'm happy to be in reserve.
All right.
PC Lewis is nothing but if not a proud bench warmer.
Perfect.
Is there a way for like two practitioners to combine like to cast, like if two people cast Sindari on the same person, is it like you can give someone a bonus to their power or like a negative to like resisting, or is it always like essentially the person would be fighting two separate spells?
It's not spelt out precisely, but we'd figure it out, and there's a few funny beats that we could play with.
Can we Captain Planet this shit?
I'm definitely.
As long as I'm alive, you can Captain Planet.
I'm definitely hot. That's me.
Yeah.
Power of friendship.
Okay, perfect. So we now jump across to Lucy.
Lucy hoofs it. As soon as she hears or senses the spell go off, knows things have popped off, and hurdles down the corridor in hot pursuit behind a hot pursuit because fire. I'm gonna move to tackle, and then my goal outcome is him on the ground, me on his chest. Yep. Face in face, teeth bared. Don't move.
That is perfect.
30.
So
the last thing that I did this to did try to move. We got to chase it and was filled with bones. So we're hoping for a similar outcome.
You're really hoping that the spell fails.
I mean, he's full of bones as well.
I know, it's great.
Yeah.
We're all full of bones.
They're just a little bit further
His bones
behind
are wet,
delicious meat. So it's all win.
I want to say this has been a textbook execution. You got the stealth in, you attack by surprise, you nailed the surprise magic, you've frozen somebody in place, and you get right up close, ready to attack. But before you all have the chance to just unload completely, we go across to Barton for a second.
Hi.
You have cast this spell,
Uh-huh.
and now you are reaching the end of the duration. Now you can extend this duration by spending an additional magic point, and that extends it for 5 minutes, which is, you know, beyond the scope of this battle. I mean, the person can still try and break free, but you no longer have to like keep casting, and that basically
I'm gonna do
maintains it. All right.
Do I have to spend another 2?
No,
because I've spent to do the mastered upgrade thing.
No, the sustaining is
Okay.
just you boost based on the size of the object that you want to hold, but you just move
Sustain
it
for
forward at this
1.
point.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Doing it.
So what does the closer of the concerto look like? You've nailed it. What do we see Barton do?
I reckon he probably just like sinks a little bit further, like down into himself, almost like you're just watching this large dude become even more solid, and he doesn't even really say anything. You can probably hear him under the thing, like muttering, like just like an old man groan, like as he just like settles in.
That's great. All right, your spell in place. This is extremely powerful. This means that every turn, all that Paul can do is try and break free, basically, right? And you are a wizard. Paul is not hugely strong.
No.
He's got one last trick up his sleeve.
And for reference as well, because it's holding him, like if somebody can grab the amulet, that's great.
Oh, for sure. And there's about to be a real good chance for it, because
Yay.
with everybody bearing down on him, Paul makes a split-second decision, right? You have held him in place, and it's sort of slowing. There is the nature of Tsundere is a little bit unpredictable, if I remember correctly, and please feel free to jump in with any additional expanded descriptions that you have prepared, Jackson. There's like sometimes it holds, sometimes it's dropped suddenly, sometimes it's slow motions. There's a little bit of like, Paul is really trying to struggle against this, but it's not working. Instead of trying to free himself, he goes all out for one move, and that is to hold the amulet.
Very anime.
Yeah, and
good
to
for him.
throw it at
no.
the corpse of Eileen a little further
Rude.
ahead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, he can't move his damn arms, can he?
And I'm going to, as he tries to do it, give him a bonus die on the strength roll, because that's the only thing I can think of until he gets frozen in place.
Oh, you champion.
Exactly. So,
Can I? Okay. This is wild. I don't know if this is allowable. Can I do I get a picture? Like, do I get an idea of what he's trying to do? Like, does it look like he's trying to throw it even before?
Yeah, he really kind of
he's
manages to unload one arm, and then
Yeah.
it's shaking a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah.
When he goes to do it, can I release the spell so he throws it like 4 times as hard as he means to?
Oh, that is hilarious.
So
Is it
he's
down
trying to
that
like throw it at this distance, thinking that he's got all this resistance. But if the spell drops, he's just gonna like cobra the shit out of this.
I'll tell you
like,
what. I'll if you're willing to drop the spell as a result
Yes.
of this, I'll kill his bonus die. So it's just a regular contested roll, and it means you drop the spell, but it results
At
in
the
him
right moment.
yeeting the amulet in the completely the wrong
so
direction.
good.
Yeah,
because I did not do so good on that contested roll before, so I'm not gonna risk like another.
You've turned my villain into anime Roadrunner, and I love it. All right, so that is perfect. Cricket skills coming to the fore. You plan to release the spell, and we will get a contested power roll against strength. So I'll roll first, so we can set the stakes. Ooh, not great for me. Okay.
That's success.
That is a success.
Hell yeah.
So Fro, you release the spell. The amulet goes skidding away and lands like a chunk further along. You can see Eileen's body, the sort of skeletal remains, much weaker, kind of lying there. Paul staggers, completely dazed for a second.
I'm gonna shout, Puddin, get that amulet.
Oh, maybe don't touch it. Maybe don't touch it.
Peter
Maybe
Lewis
just
yells that. You've got the 2 yells.
where it
Pudding,
is.
what are you doing?
Grab it.
You go sprint forward and
Like anything in
you
your hand?
tear past. You can absolutely get straight by. This is a short distance at this stage, and you grab the amulet up into your hand.
Assuming that Lucy is gonna grab Paul.
I
I'm
would
staying
like
on top of the guy. Yeah.
what I would like to do when I grab it, if I may, Jim.
Yep.
is I'm
Shit.
able to set inanimate objects on fire.
Yeah.
I want to unload as much of my ability left into this thing to try and melt it so that like some of the potential sigils or whatever that go into like making this thing work. I obviously can't melt a full amulet, but I want to fuck it up enough that if it's got like,
Hell yeah.
if what is carved on this thing is part of a spell, that it like messes it up enough that it like is less effective. Alternatively, if you let me melt a goddamn amulet, I'll do it.
I love that. I have a couple of ideas about how that's going to work, so we're going to jump back to you in a second.
Great.
Because you reach out, you grab the amulet, and it raises into your hands as your eyes flash, sparking with fire, and we go across to Lucy. Paul staggers for a second, reeling.
I'm gonna stand on him. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I mean, the implication is he's now himself again and not necessarily possessed.
Yeah, he probably
No,
needs some medical attention.
He
we'll
fucking
see.
started this shit. He can have
Lucy
medical
doesn't
attention
know.
once it's resolved.
Lucy's a dog.
Get on the ground, guy.
absolutely. You dive forward, attacking. So
Head into stone.
Just quickly,
as gently as possible.
how it works with this from like a combat round perspective is that whenever you make an attack, you can choose to basically, so whenever you take a turn, you can choose to make an attack, to run away, or to do nothing. You make an attack, and you can do so with magic, firearms, or with your fighting skill. Anyone is equally valid, and you choose fighting, unless you've got a gun strapped somewhere that I'm not aware of.
That's my all-out move, is a gun. And I don't feel the need to reveal that just yet.
Fair enough. You fling yourself forward then, and
Lucy is a bullet.
ball straight
That's right.
forward. I don't know actually how dogs to whether it's like a scoop up the legs or it's a slam into the chest kind of thing.
I think what I do is I go for it. He's got like a shirt on or like a little, he's got his
Jacket,
tie
yeah.
or whatever. I'm gonna run forward, lunge, and grab as much of his jacket in my teeth as possible, and then just I'm holding him and just wrenching him back and forth so he's off balance. I'm dragging him around the ground, and he's going, "Please stop."
Fortunately for I don't think Lucy cares, but perhaps for your moral compass, Dave. Fortunately, Paul's response is to fumble at his side and whip out what looks like a really cool ritual dagger of some sort and try and stab you. So feel
in that
immediately
case, can I go
justified.
for-
in,
Can I go for damage? Fuck this.
Yeah.
No, I mean, sure, you know what he's going to be doing. Yes.
No, he just brought a knife to a teeth fight. I bite his ass.
I think
Get on
that-
the ground, loser.
Okay,
No, I fight. I bite.
Technically, to mention just a mechanical thing, what it would be is that you declare your intention, which would have been combat maneuver. He gets to respond, but also he shouldn't have necessarily been able to whip out a weapon, and you kind of watched him for a while. I'm totally happy for this to just go to a straight. So
Very good. I'm gonna die.
what we do is we do a contested fighting roll. So he fights back. If he's dodging, it uses athletics. He can fight back with magic or firearms. Neither of which he has. Spoiler. So
Dodging it uses fighting.
sorry, dodging stuff thrown at you uses athletics, which is why I made that mistake. Thank you for the clarification. You are absolutely right.
Because like
Dodging
I
uses
have
fighting.
high fighting. I don't punch people. I'm like, nope, don't
Yep.
fucking touch me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's completely true. If you're trying to dodge something thrown at you, not shot, projectiles, you can only die for cover as per the standard Call of Cthulhu mechanics. But you can.
Someone yeets a rock at you. You could be like,
you got
bah!
a chance. So I'm going to roll Paul's fighting.
Do you want to do mine first in case I want to luck or anything?
Yeah, let's go for that.
Okay, all right. I have a bonus dice because my signature weapon are my teeth.
Nice.
I can get him with the big chomp. It's confirmed for
Oh
45.
my God.
I'll spend 10 and we'll make it a hard.
Okay, perfect. And the response from Paul. Not great. Okay. No bonus die. No, absolutely not. You slam straight in and go to try and rip at him. So how damage works, and just for reference, is scaling. Like if you take 4 points of damage, that's a mortal wound. 3 points you're down. 2 points you're hurt. 1 point
Having
you're
a bad
bloodied.
day.
Right.
Other way. 1 point hurt, 2 point bloodied.
Thank you very
If
much.
the ordering is on the sheet is relevant.
Yeah, thank you. You're right. I get mixed up, but hurt and bloodied feel different. I get
I mean,
that was a little
bloodied
bit of 5e
is
sneaking
your
in.
well, 4th is, but bloodied is like half. You're halfway through. But yeah, the order on the sheet is you're hurt, you're bloodied, you're down, and you're impaired. I
Yes.
don't know whether like down and impaired are escalations or they're just two different.
If you
boxes,
take
but-
4 damage in a single hit, you have to save against death, basically. But unless you have 30 luck, which I believe you are just under Pudding. Anyway, continuing forward. So how we resolve damage is that... Oh,
Sorry, that was my cat trying to get behind my screen and nearly knocked
Very
everything
fair.
off my desk at the same time.
Why
Why are you like
good
this?
Cinderace cast. Moving through. So your teeth, when you roll your fighting check, you do on a failure, you deal 1 damage and you don't add anything. On a success, you deal 1 damage and you add the weapon damage. Then you can deal 2 on a hard success and you deal 3 on a crit. You got a hard success, so that is 2 damage. Added to with your teeth.
I don't think melee. I think my teeth are like natural. I would see that being 0, and I need to succeed to deal anything. Is that? I don't know what I can see a table 5 for firearms. I'm not immediately finding a table for melee weapons.
I believe that the melee one is you do have to succeed, but you have like teeth and natural weapons are determined to kind of just do 1 damage by default. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to confirm that because we want to ideally get everything
Either 2 or
right
3.
here. Yeah. Let's go with 2 for now, and I think that's entirely. Sorry, 3 for now because you got teeth. I think
even
that makes
better.
sense. So take over the narration here. You down him with this single attack.
I think he tries to pull a knife, and I think I lunge for the arm with the knife in it, clamp down on forearm, squeeze till the knife drops, and then take his ass to the ground. I'm fully biting his arm. He will. He's not going to die from it, but he's having a shit day.
He tried to stab you, and to be entirely clear, and whatever.
And he tried to be a ghost,
Exactly.
and an evil pharaoh, or whatever.
Whatever sinister, kind of semi-chanting you heard before, completely vanishes. You hear, "Oh shit!" As you sink teeth in and drag him down, ragdolling this dude around at this point. We jump back across now to Pudding.
Sorry, I was looking stuff up.
Did I skip you, PC?
Have a
Lewis?
go? I don't know.
Sorry,
I don't know.
yes.
Was I
I
don't know.
apologize. Please, what?
That's all right.
I just got so excited about having the dog attack.
Me too.
All been there.
Don't hit the grey button.
I don't know why I was making a big deal. I actually don't know what I'm going to do. Cinderace feels like...
You have seen, I'll give you a little
Pudding has the
spoiler.
amulet.
If you want to cuff this boy, I can release. Like, I've got him down. Do you want to cuff him?
Well, yeah,
and I
that's
can
true.
Stop
He's-
eating him.
Yeah, I mean, if that's probably... If I've seen the knife, like I got to
Well, let me
subdue the knife.
let me
But
set-
also, yeah, probably a spell isn't the most helpful thing. I would like to handcuff him.
just set some stakes quickly. You
Nice.
can see Pudding's about to grab the amulet if you want to interfere there. You can see that Lucy's about to eat a
Oh.
bone. You've got 2 options. You are literally kind of like...
I am
Apprehend
not
this.
going to keep eating him for what's worth. I'm not going to kill him. I'm just taking him down. I'm not going to like
Have a chomp.
devour.
I think we'll stop the suspect trying to stab a dog. So
Our
I
dog.
think I'll physically go to Forder, but also call out, which I think I did, but
Yeah.
Pudding is already ignored. Don't touch it just yet.
But Pudding has.
But
has
I
magic
cannot do
to
anything
go
to
bear
stop you.
And high power. So we hope that things like anyway. At what point? So you rush forward, PC Lewis, and you apprehend Paul. You're still swearing. Do you maintain your composure at this point? Is the first thing that comes out of your mouth the rights of arrest and things like that? Or is it? Are you a little shaky?
No, there's some other things going on right now. I don't think I have to do that when he's actively still trying to stab someone. We can do that in a few minutes. That's fine.
Circle back.
Yeah.
Probably.
My
reasonable.
attention is split between like stopping him from stabbing anyone, getting in the handcuffs, but also I hope Pudding doesn't touch that amulet.
I'm afraid Pudding has, and as your eyes flick back, having now locked Paul's arms behind his back. He is cuffed and restrained. Lucy, you let go of his arm. Your eyes flick up too. You see Pudding neatly has dodged past the remains of Elaine, not contaminating crime scene, well done, and scooped up the amulet. As you pick it up, your eyes flash with that otherworldly fire. And I think that there's a bunch of really cool things that happen here. Obviously, that amulet's going to have some effect. But its magic and how it interacts with you, and also you heating it, there's a lot of raised questions. And also, this could go dramatically wrong. Maybe this is feeding the amulet at this point. I think, and you have expressed previously, that your magic juice is your luck. And I think it's only appropriate, and I feel so bad now because you have very justifiably used luck when I pushed you to do it before, but I'll ask you to make a luck check and we'll see just how much fuel you put in and how effective it is.
Do you want me to make a luck check and not spend luck?
I'm not asking you to spend luck. This is a luck check for what happens to like determine how your magic interacts. Because functionally, if the others were trying to use magic, I might ask them to just make a magic check here. But I think a luck check is appropriate.
Well, I don't have magic, so yeah,
Exactly.
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
62. So no, it's
Okay.
not a fumble, but it's not a
Oh, good.
yeah, not a fumble, not a success.
Okay, so here's what happened. First of all, not a fumble, no catastrophe. You do not feed the amulet and suddenly, a terrible, terrible disaster.
Didn't know that was on cards.
What happens as you pick it up, you feel a sudden kind of dustiness come over you, an age, a separation. It's not quite that you're pulled back from your perception as much as you just feel like you're in bed or exhausted or hungover or something, just so out of it you can't bring yourself to move as much as you might want to. Your powers fizzle a little bit. You see sparks, literally as if the amulet is electrically charged, and when it touches you, there's this kind of but like a stove not kicking off, it dies down. And I'll ask you to make a power check. Ooh.
That doesn't look good.
Now you still do have access to your luck, and as a spoiler of what's going to happen, I'm going to contest this roll with a power check.
I mean, I can get it to a success.
It's your call
but
here.
More than that is not necessarily doable, depending on what time it is.
I'm afraid it's not midnight. It is still early enough in the evening. But yeah. I will tell you the second midnight strikes. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
You'll feel it.
Bong.
I will say, I'll get just to. You've already made a decision.
No, go for it.
Yeah.
Go.
I'll
What?
say the stakes of this are, it's not you're going to blow up immediately or something. So do not feel that you are making a death save here, for want of a better word.
I just assumed that I was going to be gently possessed, and they would have to be like, "No, get out of my brain, go away."
Brainworms. They suck.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
fantastic.
take my. At the end of the day, if they get a success and I get a success, I don't know what would have happened with a contested anyway. If they get a hard, I was never going to get it. If they fail, yay!
Okay. Perfect. No, so there's the spark.
But it runs on
fizzle.
instinct.
Nothing
Why not?
happens, and we will go immediately to tested roll coming through. Taking just the perfect amount of time to load. My hands are off the keyboard. The suspense, people. Dun, 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 dun,
on.
It'd be very funny if it just didn't do anything.
Oh, come on. There we go. I'm afraid that is going to be over the success threshold. So, what happens here, and I'll throw to you to narrate it because I think it's cool, is that there is a moment of sequestration. And it is...
Ooh, I have a question.
Yes.
I have fast reactions.
Yes, you do. That allows you to fight back more than once in a round.
Yes. What I was gonna ask, because I don't think this necessarily, unless this counts as fighting back, although it's mentally more than physically, can I, in this moment, go, drop it?
That's basically what is going to happen. I think that there's a parallel to the fight back mechanics here. Now I've got you to use power and stuff here, but strictly speaking, what you would do is if someone was attacking you with magic, is that they would make a magic roll and you can fight back with anything that you have. Fight back allows you to, if multiple people are attacking you, it's a more opponents kind of thing, so you're not necessarily getting better against a single target. But factored in, more importantly, is the fact that you are not quite as easy a mark as Paul. Not only do you have strong willpower, you've got some other stuff going on, and the being inside this amulet does not like that. So I'll let you describe what it looks like from Pudding's perspective, I guess, or from the people who are watching Pudding. But you don't like this, so you stay just long enough to dump the amulet on the bones.
Oh, on Elaine's bones. Okay. Yeah, I think it's like genuinely, I think the best description I can give in this moment of Pudding just being like completely out of it and not themselves, and kind of, I guess, in that moment, the amulet having just enough control to be like, not you, throw me over there. Like full Sauron ring energy. Is that Pudding's eyes, where they're usually either that like very vibrant green or like slightly duller green, they go full coal black. They're just black, that like the whole iris and pupil black. And it like is a very, it's probably hard to tell in the dimness, but it is a very like odd thing. I think also maybe even because like the Demimonde are kind of like Molly and stuff are part of that. They're a different form, but they are part of it. I like the idea that for a split second, Pudding's face like goes more gaunt and their teeth look more pointed than usual. Like they look wrong, like there's sort of something else underneath their skin. And then like kind of go, don't like it. Not really even looking where they've thrown it, and is gonna be a little like fuzzy in that moment and needs to like shake their head and come back into themselves. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'm fine with that.
So
it was great.
The amulet lands on the bones, right? Pudding, you stagger backwards, a little out of it at this point. That spell that hit you was not designed to deal damage. You don't take any, you're not harmed. But you suddenly feel back to yourself, and that kind of fire kickstarts again inside you, dimmed as it is. PC Lewis, you have apprehended the suspect. We kind of skipped over your turn before. Lucy, you've let go of the arm. In the turn order, we would now hit Barton. So the amulet falls on to the bones, right? Barton, it's your turn, and then you know it's going to be my turn because I'm the next along in the order, right? So if there's multiple NPCs, it's all on. It's on. They all go on my spot. Gotcha. Not that Paul can do anything here.
Ooh.
So you're watching all of this happen, and if you would like, I mean, you'd be pushing right up against your spell limit here. But I'm happy for you to flex things of like you see that amulet falling, and you could try and fire out another Cinderay and catch it in midair or
not
something.
Not a Cinderay. I have another spell that I have not mastered, so this could be risky.
Oh, a little racy.
But let me just check quickly. Sorry, what's the page ID for this one? Okay. So,
an unmasked spell, very unlike you, Barton.
Yeah, very unlike
But
Barton.
in desperate
But
times,
I have a good idea of what's going to happen when this amulet hits the bones, and I don't think I like it.
Yeah.
Uh,
You don't want to start
what I
another
might
wrestling match with somebody and have
try
them
and
go all out and
do-
use special bone move.
I have been figuring out, mostly got it, a spell called Serra Obscura, which is like a force blade,
Ooh,
and I'm
hell
wondering if I
yes.
can use it on the bones to like scatter them
absolutely.
away from under, like
You are
Like,
going to get
use the blade to like.
You're going to get a ton of
cut
trouble with the
yeah.
crime scene. No, you're not. I'm
Yeah.
joking.
Well, no,
Actually,
I will, but
it's
I would like
all
for
in
that
good fun.
amulet to
Yeah.
hit concrete, not bones.
Okay, perfect. So that is just that I'm getting it once more, just making sure I have the list of it, because there's spell lists that in the book that come down for each of the individual spells. So you've got like the Impello based one and the Cinderace based one. Can you give me the name one more time?
Serra Obscura.
Serra Obscura, and it's it's one of the Cinderace based,
Second
right?
order.
Yep, second order. Perfect, thank you.
Second order, have not mastered it.
All right, so the base cost of a second order spell is 2 points, right? But that you've
I'm gonna
got
have to make a magic roll. 'Cause I've mastered
you've got options here.
Yeah.
I think that makes complete sense to me that you can just scatter the bones using it.
Sure.
So brilliant. Force blade. It's a small thing, but you basically just kind of cut through stuff. This feels perfectly within scope. So I will get you to make a magic check.
Cinnamon, can you move away from my buttons? Thank you. Shift the count.
You can also use this as a weapon in combat. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
You've always got
But
a knife on you.
Like I wouldn't. But
No, but you are right now.
I can luck that.
Okay, probably a good idea at this point.
I'm gonna luck that.
Okay. You use your luck, and so it really is another like hissed out row, this time of complicated forme and inflexi all bouncing off each other. You're going to have to spend 2 points of magic here. How much do you have left?
5.
5. Okay, you're fine. In which case, I will not feel bad in saying this does flex the nature of the spell a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
if you want another one, I'll give you
I
another
might
one.
ask for functionally a boost here. Technically, boosting is for mastered spells, but there's you can also argue the blade.
It's almost like this is probably the first time I've casted. This is definitely the first time I've casted outside of controlled conditions, like outside of just practicing. This is the first time I've ever used it, and I think there's a moment where Bun's like fumbling over the words, but he's like Serra Obscura, like there's a moment of like have to try this again. Okay.
Yep. I also love that. So I don't think that, and I know you've read the first book, Alex. So I assume it's a deliberate choice. They don't necessarily have to say things out loud, but I love that Barton has like
mental
real
fumble of
read
it,
out
like-
loud energy.
Yes. Oh no, definitely read out loud energy, and he does that with everything: street signs, menus, whatever.
I was gonna say the whole menu as you read out every sandwich listed.
Even after I've ordered.
That is fantastic. And with that, it's a perfect combination here. You slam out, the bones go scattering, as if they've been sliced by a blade of wind, and then a second later, the amulet lands inert. It's already surrounded by crime scene tape. Well done. We're going to leave combat at this point because suddenly there is no threat. All you hear is Paul kind of yelling, "Get off me!" And
Try to stab me, dog.
Who are you? What? And at this point, I presume Patrick Lewis, you start reading rights.
Yes. I did have it saved a little while ago, but I think I've lost it now.
You're momentarily distracted by
You don't have to say anything.
leaning over and acting as though he's just run a mile.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of
just taking the
Intent
piece.
to commit
having a
cult
knife
shit.
just to start with, unlawfully trespassing,
Animal abuse.
attacking a police officer. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defense if you don't mention when questioned, something which we later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Thank you.
Paul looks almost offended that the police are the ones that have apprehended him and not like, I don't know, a pact of wizards or something. Yeah, exactly. But pretty quickly starts to clam up, starts to mutter things. I didn't mean to. And then starts realizing maybe he should probably just shut up. Tries for a bit, can't bring himself to. zooming out a bit, what do the collection of you do? What's the immediate lock down the scene? What's next?
I mean, I immediately go and make sure that Lucy gets a treat and Barton gets a nice warm cup of tea because I can still do that.
Barton
Yes.
also gets a treat.
Because Barton casts magic and like in Pudding's head, I know it's not quite the same, but I'm like, doing magic takes stuff out of you. You need a nice warm cup of tea and maybe a biscuit, and I happen to have those in my backpack full of food at all times. It's getting low because I've been eating a lot. To try and stay awake. Honestly, at this point, Pudding's probably like gives that to Barton and then just takes a raw sugar packet out of their bag and just dumps it in their mouth. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, thank you, love. You're a gem.
Perfect.
I mean, everybody, that was.
Oh.
Did you know that the amulet tastes like dust?
Oh no! I thought for a minute there you were in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, it didn't like me very much. Also, I know I said taste. It did taste like dust, but obviously it didn't stick in my mouth. That would be weird. That's a Lucy
Yeah, please
thing.
don't lick the amulet.
Oh, I can't promise I won't lick it, but I'm not going to stick it in my mouth.
Your teeth still dripping with blood, Lucy. Are scoffed off, with, topped off with pig's teeth, rather.
Pig's ears.
Pig's ears, rather. It's some part of a pig.
Some pig thing.
No, I think for whether it's now or at some point, Pudding will go to whatever nearest veterinary store there is and try and find some chicken hearts. Because they're super excited for doggies. Yeah,
sure.
and we'll just like. They're kind of like popcorn for Lucy. They're very small in comparison to how big she is, but she gets some chicken hearts.
100%. Well, couple of things to figure out first. Two little tense things that still remain. You're catching your breath for a second. All right. All again, kind of set to one side for a second. First is that amulet is still sitting there, alone by itself next to all these bones. You can't help but think like, yeah, Lucy could lick it, but what if a rat runs over this thing or whatever? Like you don't know how it works or what the capacity is. You don't know if you can pick it up safely, if any of you can. How do you move this?
I mean, I'm gonna say I've got some gloves on me because it's London. Everyone carries all things all the time.
I mean, you did see Mary Mahet was covered in bandages.
Yeah, but she had skin through, like the amulet was under her bandages.
That's true.
It was on her skin. I'm gonna be like, hey Barton, I know you just did a thing. Can you prep a Sindare and like just in case? And I will
I'm pretty much done.
Or PC Lewis.
I think the scene is in control now. Let's keep it that way until the cavalry arrives.
There's just one other thing to mention.
Can we scoop it up? Can we get like a little evidence bag and a stick and just be like.
Just a dustpan and like
I want to find like a bucket or something and just put like a bucket over it, and then if I have to sit on it.
Furious.
Right.
Don't leave that there.
I love that we've essentially
this.
dealt with this amulet like we would a spider, just like no.
That's exactly it.
We'll slide a piece of paper under it and carry it out somewhere and let it be free outside. Just be like, no, we don't.
Throw it
into the ocean.
Yeah. So
fine.
there is one last thing to add. And I will say, you've got a few things in your favor here. Because you've been throwing spells around right after you... And you disrupted the body of the ghost that lurks around here. Throwing magic tends to attract ghosts. Now, you really did well on that social role, speaking to the ghost, and you have also basically enabled Kumar to start an investigative process. You attacked when Paul tried to get into the crime scene. So you also messed with the bones. You don't get an immediate rising hostility, but the hair on your arm is starting to pick up, and it just occurs to you that this might be a good time to, not leave lest you incur the wrath of Eileen. You have enough time, though, to your idea of getting a bucket and a brick. I mean, there's cement bags and everything. You know that there is all this kind of equipment.
I love this.
But is there any way that, like, given that that's a thing that's just happened, and I feel like I've established Pudding cares enough about like otherworldly things to maybe think of this, but I don't know if we can summon Eileen, but sort of like turn around and be like, we're really sorry, it was either that or you got controlled by an evil wizard and we figured that like we didn't want to, and we're really sorry for disturbing your remains, and we wouldn't have done it if it didn't really matter. We'd put them back, but I feel like that would make things probably worse for you. So we're, like kind
Yeah.
of try and smooth it
Yeah.
over a
No,
little bit, but also like
totally registered. You say the prerequisites as you kind of back out, and since there's no kind of like rumbling walls or anything like that, you reckon that there's probably a little bit of like you've kicked in someone's door, but it was because you were trying to stop their house from burning down, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like. Actually, genuinely, there's probably something Pudding goes and looks up in the Folio Library, which is like how to placate or like essentially apologize to a ghost that's angry, and we'll find some way after the fact of going back down and doing like a little whatever ritual or like doing something to go, hey, I'll take one of the stones. One of those stones that is like and just kind of leave it near the body as a, hey, really sorry. So I brought you some food so that hopefully like the fact that your bones would, because like I assume bones being disturbed kind of messes with their sense of being. So to be like, hey,
I don't feel good about it.
We hurt you, so let me bring you something that will hopefully heal you and make amends.
For sure. I think that's totally reasonable, and you will get a bunch of chances to resolve. Like, all of you have many directions you can go in here. But first of all, confirming. So you leave the magic amulet under a brick. Basically. Under a bucket brick contraption.
I like the cement. We've got to take it. We're not going to leave it. I'm just saying, like, if we're leaving before like the cavalry arrives, let's get that bucket we found, just kind of like scoop it in and then pour like a whole bunch of cement, like dry cement powder in there, and then we've got like a bucket, and it's like in the middle of the cement. That's the plan.
I've played a little bit of Rivers of London now, and I'm like, this is why you take aqua, because everyone's always like, it seems like, why would I take aqua? I don't want to create water. We're like, no, this would be perfect.
Do it to make cement.
You could seal this thing in cement immediately.
And we also have fire, so like,
always useful.
We can always have hot tea.
That makes total sense to me. With appropriate caution taken, you are able to bring it with you. Again, Paul, just furious. Tries a little bit of like put it on me because I can I can take it kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm just gonna go up to him and like he's handcuffed, right?
Yeah, and also
I'm just gonna like go up to him and pat him on the cheek and be like,
Shut up.
It didn't like me because I can do this, and I'll like do a little spark of flame, but it did really like you because you, my good man, have the brain defenses of jelly. And I don't think that's your fault, but also don't think you're more powerful than you are.
It looks incredibly offended and tries and fails to be hurtful the whole way back. Perfect. I am going to, in symbolic, celebration of your success here, swap us back to a non-spooky soundtrack as we zoom out a little bit.
I love that there was a spooky soundtrack playing throughout all that Roadrunner bullshit.
Exactly. Well, you got it's the balance of the two. Fantastically done. You have managed to catch Paul and the thing in the amulet while not only just avoiding disaster, avoiding the tense scene of cat and mouse with a skeleton through the tunnels leading to the British Museum, but also genuinely without taking damage. You nailed this. You followed perfectly. You got the stealth rolls. You froze him at the right point. You took out all of his capacity to respond. Well done, team.
Thanks, Jim.
Only slightly almost got myself possessed.
Only slightly.
These things happen.
Exactly, and it was a sensible enough move to make. Nightingale is going to be pretty pleased with how all of this turns out. And like you alluded to, Barton, there is definitely going to be consequences for having messed with the bones, but those are going to they fall under the scope of like paperwork as part of the job, and as part of a job well done. There are a few things to figure out, though. First of all, let's talk about Paul. You pretty quickly figure out that Paul was not the most honest inventory and procedures consultant employed by the British Museum. The amulets that he was messing with were one of a long line of casually fenced goods, basically, that he was messing around with. And then trying to sell stuff that had disappeared off the radar of the museum's like inventory.
Was that dagger also part of their inventory?
Yep, that was one of the things. If you had broken into his apartment, you would have found several more kind of artifacts gone through. But basically, upon encountering the being in the amulet, he fell deep into a kind of a functional worship of it, and was seduced rather than perpetually sequestered into trying to aid it in its quest to recover the one missing amulet from the set that it was looking for, the one that was on Mary Mahet down below.
Nice.
Shooting through from there, this proceeds out to trial and to everything like that. Paul is not a practitioner. So this kind of just it falls out of the Follies' purview to a pretty large degree. What about Mary Mahet and the other amulets, first of all? You made a promise basically that you were going to do your best to return those to Egypt. Do you have an angle as you sort of hand everything over to the Folly and try to push in that regard?
I'm glad you asked, James, because I've been looking into the British Museum Human Remains Policy and how it interacts with the Human Tissue Act of
course you have.
2004.
Oh, hell yes. Enlighten me.
A community can make a claim to the British Museum for the return of human remains, and then they review it according to their policy. And there's a couple of points that need to be satisfied. Where the human remains are more than 100 years old, the community has to demonstrate that cultural continuity with the remains in question. So yeah, it's tricky if like no one has the same culture as the remains in question. So all we have to do is show that Mary is obviously still continuing her
Continued
culture.
Yeah.
So we just
Okay,
gotta
pretty
like.
high law skill.
I was about you
Which
beat
is-
me to it. I was about
Well,
to
no,
say.
because it's up to the British Museum. So all we have to
Yeah,
do
but
is let the deputy director of the British Museum
you could
onto
take
the
this,
fact
don't you?
that this mummy is walking around, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You mean by the
That
the
sounds like
de-
a great idea.
Wait, by the deputy director, do you mean Catherine?
Oh, it's just the deputy director of the entire British
I-
Museum.
I-
I feel like if we gently let Catherine in on what's going on, she might be able to help us.
Well,
Like,
turn-
also,
I think we need to let Catherine in on what's going on, and she can be
Oh,
liaison
sure.
from the British Museum to the
Come on,
Follies.
Lois.
It turns
Because
out
everyone
that
gets a liaison,
the
right?
person who would normally be doing that is on leave, so it all falls to
Yeah.
her, and you have to spend a
She's
long
now our liaison,
time.
and now she's going to occur in every single one of our
Oh,
games.
wonderful. That's great. So I'll get you to make a law check, genuinely here.
Oh heck! All right. And we also have to demonstrate that returning the remains, the significance of the cultural continuity is more important than the public benefit of keeping the remains in the museum.
Well, they were.
They'd already gone. They'd already left.
Yeah.
So I think
also
we can
like
win on
they're
that
not on
point.
display and they haven't been, and also like currently they're not listed in the records.
That's it.
So like,
so we got that point at
And
least.
the other thing is that if you get into the details of it, Mary Mahet is more interested in the amulets. Actually being the items that are returned.
Oh, heck.
Yeah, but
that's true.
But you could package deal.
I feel like if we
If
can
the
get
s-
Catherine on side to be like, hey, those amulets aren't in your system anymore. If we package those up with Mary and send her back to Egypt,
I'll tell-
like as a remains, It's technically her stuff.
I'll tell you what, why don't you, because you have Catherine's help, sorry, if you accept Catherine's help and Jackson as a player accept that we get to keep making jokes about this, you can have a bonus die on the lore check.
Human remains is defined in the Human Remains Policy of the British Museum as parts of once living people from the species Homo sapiens sapiens. Parts, just parts. So if we assume that the consciousness or the soul that is housed inside this amulet is a part of a once living person, then these amulets are human remains. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I see it. I
Your
see
Honor.
it. I'll get you to make the lore check all the same, and you can have a bonus.
Let's see if the
for it.
dice see it. Well, I might need that bonus die.
Good.
You go to jail.
I think I am going to take that bonus die. Well, 28 under a half.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, absolutely. I like that Barton technically did agree, but you end up doing a lot of the paperwork. Feels appropriate. But you are able to sort all of this out. And you don't get a massive sort of like continued dialogue with Mary Mehet. Once the amulets are sort of gathered together, things quieten down a little, but there is going to be, you'll probably spend some of the next little while liaising with folks over in Egypt and trying to like extend the web of networked practitioners a little wider. What we're going to do, and we'll talk about this when we do sort of experience and advancements and things like that, but from a mechanical perspective, there are a bunch of spells and things like that which use different traditions, basically, or come from different, and not just sort of like still within Newtonian sort of space, but for example, the Society of the Rose in book sort of hedge wizard approach. So you will have access via Mary Mehet to one of the sort of expanded list that represents your ability to widen your knowledge beyond the strictures of the folly.
It's
Nice.
still magic that can be done by people who aren't Demimond, but isn't Newtonian specific.
Yeah, or this is the expression of the information and the practices that you get, if you know what I mean. You influence your own abilities here, and that's going to come through like that. What about the dangerous amulet? The standard procedure would be this gets handed over to Nightingale, and inside the folly there is a nice little vault, extremely well protected underneath the whole place, where dangerous and nasty things go.
Toby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
It goes.
Good plan.
It goes in the evidence locker. That never. It goes in the oubliette.
Yep, something to be
Ooh.
very
Yes.
good word. Something to be you thought about again, and that might come up at some point. You can continue to sort of research into things, but something that you are able to oubli for the time being, which is very convenient.
Put it in the oubli.
Put it in the oubli. I want to oubli that whole
In
affair.
the oobli.
Love it.
Continuing on. So that's Paul. That's Catherine. That's the magical agreement and the return of the
Is
amulets.
Catherine like kind of a little bit filled in
I-
on some of the magic? Like,
I-
is she gonna
Part
become
of
maybe
his
like
I
argument
think
is
that'll be
that
a little
it's
bit of a
living soul.
liaison?
Yeah, I think that's kind of up to PC Lewis and Jackson, something that we might explore as we go onto the next Rivers of London scenario, because we have another scenario. I'll talk about more in a second. But
Dog.
we will do, we'll have our advancements and experience and things like that off screen. But closing off the scenario, then, is there anything else anyone wants to add? Any final details? You mentioned pudding. You do intend to go and try and make good with Elaine.
It's like if taking some magic food down for her is like an appropriate offering as a hey, especially because again, I feel like as the magic bean of this little trio, quartet. Thank you. This gang, playing, making nice with all the other magic things seems like I'm the liaison, the folly liaison.
Yeah.
And I'm also very good at making friends and being polite to people. So that's kind of, I
100%.
think, my job is to. I'm gonna go try and smooth things over with like any entity, in the same way that I smooth things over with the genus loci and was
still,
like,
you're still on a
because
reading
I still,
list.
I still go and do readings at the bookshop, for sure. Like, occasionally we'll be like, hey, Lucy, do you want to come to the bookshop with me and let the kids scratch your ears? I will feed you all of the chicken hearts throughout the process. You can have some.
Guess.
Yeah.
You can
Walk
have
versus
some
child.
fresh roast beef from my sandwich.
I'm not happy about that bookshop, but I'll go for the chicken.
You're not
hearts.
sure.
You read that right.
Yeah, so I will go, and possibly also like, actually, if it goes well with Elaine, with Eileen. I'm Elaine. She's Eileen. I might actually make that a regular part of my like visitate. Like, I go to the bookshop, I go and see her on occasion when I'm allowed to for the Transport Authority. Like, Pudding is gonna possibly maybe just start having like a network of otherworldly entities as their friends.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, and just to sort of close that off with one final detail, in your the Kumar's investigation is going to proceed, and basically, there's not enough information. You will probably never know exactly what happened to Eileen. So, how do you close or like influence? Effectively, the case being closed. Does it end up as something unsolved? Do you put it on like a continued cold case in case something happens? Or do you just let it kind of fade back into the sort of do you oublie it? Do you oublie the whole thing and let it exist in a mystery that doesn't need to be resurfaced? Maybe it was the unlucky mummy.
Honestly, I ask Eileen.
Yeah.
I go, hey, they haven't found anything. Would you like, are you, if we were to bury your remains somewhere rather than leave them down here, would you like that? Would you prefer them down here? What would you like us to do with your body? And what do you want us, like, do you want us to find out what happened to you, or are you fine? Like, I will just ask her.
I love that. I think that you find that Eileen is like, let's not find out. But but has had enough of her remains being buried for so long, and asked that they be returned to the surface, and you can have them cremated and spread, or whatever you would
so long
feel
as
appropriate to. Yeah.
Essentially, it'll be like what.
Not underground is the key.
The big thing is it all right if I move? Because we moved them without asking previously, kind of violently. So this is a very much like, I would like to get your permission to move your remains. And if she says cremation, Jim, I will do that myself.
That's you can do. I love that. That's
like, if again, like maybe I do it at night. If she's able to leave, like where she is, I'll ask if she wants to come with me, and essentially we'll do a little like funeral for her with her there.
That's perfect.
Lovely.
I'll invite the rest of the crew, but I don't. I will do it on my own. Oh, my mum's will be there, obviously.
Brilliant. Yep. I love that. That's perfect. That's putting Barton. Any wrap up details?
Oh, you know what? I reckon we're getting to a pretty critical point in terms of tax time, so I'm going to be pretty busy the next 2 weeks, I reckon.
Fair enough, and great hint towards what's to come. We'll add to that in a second. But apart from that, PC Lewis or Barton, if you want anything additional, or
no, I'm just having a great time talking with the British Museum.
Bet you are.
Perfect.
Yeah. I had more to go on, but it's 12:03, so I probably I won't justify my case any further.
We'll be able to dive back a little bit next session. Lucy, any dog stuff happening?
I think I kind of got a lot of dog stuff out of my system. I think I got to go for a bit of a run around, got to have a bit of a bite, ticked a lot of boxes. Think kind of tuckered myself out, so happy to sleep for a little while.
Fair enough.
Happy to kind of chill with Pudding and kind of semi-maintain some of those otherworldly contacts.
Perfect. The important thing now is to get enough XP that you can learn magic. But that's just my point. Anyway, with that, then we'll call the session to a close, and that is Going Underground. Thank you so much, everybody, for playing, and thank you everybody for watching. You can get Going Underground.
Thank you, Jim, for running this.
Get Rivers of London and Going Underground on chaosium.com or from your friendly local game store. All of that fun stuff. The lest I be deceitful, this was slightly expanded from what is in the initial one. But I think that the seeds are there, and it's quite a bit of fun. We have more Rivers of London to come. We have another unreleased scenario which we are going to start playing. So keep an eye on things. We will have more about that to come soon. Tragically, Alex will not be joining us for a couple of weeks. Tax time, you know how it is.
It's tax time.
Exactly. But
Accountants are busy.
Yeah, 100%. But we'll be back and. Then,
even mediocre ones.
And I'm sure we'll see a button pop up after a couple of weeks. And yeah, that's the lot. Thank you to Sirenscape and to Roll20, tools we use to improve our game. Thank you to everybody for watching. And that's the lot. See you, everybody.
Ciao.